Bhakti or Devotion, Part 1. The idea of a personal God has obtained in almost every religion except a very few. With the exception of the Buddhist and the Jain, perhaps all the religions of the world have the idea of a personal God, and with it comes the idea of devotion and worship. The Buddhists and the Jains, although they have no personal God, worship the founders of their religions in precisely the same way as others worship a personal God. This idea of devotion and worship to some higher beings which can reflect back the love to man is universal. In various religions, this love and devotion is manifested in various degrees at different stages. The lowest stage is that of ritualism, when abstract ideas are almost impossible and are dragged down to the lowest plane and made concrete. Forms come into play, and along with them, various symbols. Throughout the history of the world, we find that man is trying to grasp the abstract through thought forms or symbols. All the external manifestations of religion, bells, music, rituals, books, and images, come under the head. Anything that appeals to the senses, anything that helps man to form a concrete image of the abstract, is taken hold of and worshipped. From time to time, there have been reformers in every religion who have stood against all symbols and rituals. But vain has been their opposition. For so long as man will remain as he is, the vast majority will always want something concrete to hold on to, something around which, as it were, to place their ideas, something which will be the center of all the thought forms in their minds. The great attempts of the Mohammedans and of the Protestants have been directed to this one end, of doing away with all rituals, and yet we find that even with them, rituals have crept in. They cannot be kept out. After long struggle, the masses simply change one symbol for another. The Mohammedan who thinks that every ritual, every form, image, or ceremony used by a non Mohammedan is sinful does not think so when he comes to his own shrine, the Kaaba. Every religious Mohammedan, wherever he prays, must imagine that he is standing before the Kaaba. When he makes a pilgrimage there, he must kiss the black stone in the walls of the shrine. All the kisses that have been imprinted on that stone by millions and millions of pilgrims will stand up as witnesses for the benefit of the faithful on the last day of judgment. Then there is well of Zimzim. Mohammedans believe that whoever draws a little water out of that well will have his sins pardoned, and he will, after the day of resurrection, have a fresh body and live forever. In others, we find that the symbology comes in the form of buildings. Protestants hold that churches are more sacred than other places. The church, as it is, stands for that symbol. Or there is a book. The idea of the book to them is much holier than any other symbol. It is vain to preach against the use of symbols, and why should we preach against them? There is no reason why man should not believe in symbols. They have them in order to represent the ideas signified behind them. This universe is a symbol, in and through which we are trying to grasp the thing signified, which is beyond and behind. The spirit is the goal and not matter. Forms, images, bells, candles, books, churches, temples, and all holy symbols are very good, very helpful to the growing plant of spirituality, but thus far and no farther. In the vast majority of cases, we find that the plant does not grow. It is very good to be born in a church, but it is very bad to die in a church. It is very good to be born within the limits of certain forms that help the little plant of spirituality. But if a man dies within the bounds of these forms, it shows that he has not grown, that there has been no development of the soul. If, therefore, anyone says that symbols, rituals, and forms are to be kept forever, he is wrong. But if he says that these symbols and rituals are a help to the growth of the soul in its low and undeveloped state, he is right. But you must not mistake this development of the soul as meaning anything intellectual. A man can be of gigantic intellect, yet spiritually he may be a baby. You can verify it this moment. All of you have been taught to believe in an omnipresent God. Try to think of it. How few of you can have any idea of what omnipresence means. If you struggle hard, you will get something like the idea of the ocean, or of the sky, or of a vast stretch of green earth, or of a desert. All these are material images, and so long as you cannot conceive of the abstract as abstract, of the ideal as the ideal, you will have to resort to these forms, these material images. It does not make much difference whether these images are inside or outside the mind. We are all born idolaters, and our idolatry is good because it is in the nature of man. Who can get beyond it? Only the perfect man, the God man. The rest are all idolaters. So long as we see this universe before us with its form and shapes, we are all idolaters. This is a gigantic symbol we are worshipping. He who says he is the body is a born idolater. We are spirit, spirit that has no form or shape, spirit that is infinite and no matter. Therefore, anyone who cannot grasp the abstract, who cannot think of himself as he is, except in and through matter, as the body, is an idolater. And yet, how people fight amongst themselves, calling one another's idolaters. In other words, each says his idol is right and the others are wrong.